Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for soul growth. Come journey with us through astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hi, everybody. Hello? Yes, I'm here. I just had a little break with my technological excitement. And good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you might be. Today is, it's November 26th. And it's after the big holiday here in the States. And globally, we're getting ready for the season ending the year, however that greets you. And today is our panel, Kaleidoscope Visions. We always talk about a transit. Today, the transits are merging, kind of like the year merging into the next year. And we do have, we believe, a participant who's going to join us. And what we're focusing on, maybe after all the eclipses that we have, that is an aftermath season. I think that needs to be coined. Aftermath season doesn't end because turning into butterflies or whatever we do takes a little time and changes our whole physiology, yes? The material and the spirit all warming in together. Point being, our subject is emotional deconditioning. So that's going to take us on a lot of ideas about what it takes for healing and the facts that we do condition on a natural basis. Well, with no more said, because we have an active panel with great members, we are now ready for Kaleidoscope Visions panel.
Associating current astrology transits to a real-life natal chart transit reading through the understanding of the sky's cosmic consciousness for navigating free will options, this is your Kaleidoscope Visions panel.
I am Sue Minahan, collaborating with guests weekly since 2018. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, consultant, workshop facilitator, and lecture speaker. I'm a Dwarf Planet University graduate, charter member of Kepler Astrology Toastmaster Club. I have an AA degree and a fine arts music degree in jazz. I'm a certified color energy life coach, a writer, artist, musician, and ardent mythologist, a student of esoteric philosophies and life.
I'm Amanda Pierce. I'm a soul-centered astrologer, blending intuition into my practice. I believe the universe is always working for our highest good and seek to empower my clients in our readings. I teach a 4-week series of empowerment-based meditation classes that connect you deeper into your own intuition and innate power. I work in communications with a passion for employee experience. I also have a BA in psychology. I'm passionate about healing and enjoy helping others create new realities and shift old paradigms.
And I am John Chenworth, an astrologer from Seattle, Washington. I grew up in southern Arizona and was so obsessed with mythology that I concretely imprinted the Greco-Roman pantheon into my psyche. I still see those gods and goddesses infused into everything around me. My experiences of working with developmentally disabled and resource students for many years as both teacher and mentor has given me a strong compassion for others and has seasoned me with an exceptional reconciling energy. I have more than 18 years experience reading natal charts and continue to enhance consulting techniques by attending workshops and conferences. I use a unique blend of evolutionary, archetypal, and traditional astrological methods to look for themes in the birth chart for us to explore. I also enjoy penning poems and exploring Washington State on road trips.
And like the Sufi poet Rumi says, you are the entire ocean in a drop.
Well, I've got lots of drops here in this picture, right? Hi, Amanda, and hi, John.
Hello.
Hi, nice to be here with you today, as always.
It's good to be back.
It is, and this is our last one for this calendar year, folks. And we do have our application up and running on Talk Cosmos. And so we have January filled, but February on, please participate. And we look forward to having new people. But today is very exciting. And it's hard to know where to begin exactly, except Pluto, of course, is in Capricorn. Maybe we should have our slides, and that'll help us along, as always. And just to mention off the bat, John has his website, Sky Path Astro, and Amanda, best to do her email, amandamoonastrology@gmail, if you're so interested in connecting. So conditioning, if we're deconditioning, it's all about conditioning, and it's so natural, right? We do it in everything in our life. Our
Yeah, absolutely. And there, a lot of that is what we receive from our family, with the habits and the belief patterns and all of those systems that come with how we're raised and how we grow into who we are today.
Everything supports it so much. Our culture, our schools, our neighbors, our friends, on and on and on, because we have to adapt to learn. It's part of the survival technique. It's not bad. It's just that it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you just hit it right on the nose with this is how we survive. We learn these techniques that in the moment were very helpful for us. And as we get older, sometimes the helpfulness leaves, but they're still there and we're still kind of stuck with it. And so this is about clearing out what we can in the moment to kind of come into a healthier balance.
Yes, because and John, if you had something, go ahead.
Oh, I'm good. What Amanda said.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
The psychology background.
Yeah, for myself, it's all about accountability. If we have our autonomy and we need to own what we do, it's like instead of blaming the exterior, it's like, no, it's the buck stops here or starts here. It's like that's the ending and the beginning. Then it has to align with what is in our nature. And other people's screen, although it might be a good template, isn't what works for us. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. And that accountability really speaks to the Saturn transit that we're talking about, Saturn Ceres Sedna T-square, and just taking accountability for where we're at in the moment. Saturn transits are always good check-in points to see how we're doing with our accountability with standing in our authority and where we're holding correct boundaries for ourselves.
Ooh, good point. And yeah, Pluto right now, after I say after, because in January 21st, finally for sure goes into Aquarius, which has its own goods and bads as life goes. Everything has the coin of two sides, but it's 16 years. It's at the very end of its degrees, but the ruler Saturn is now in Pisces, and that dissolves. And plus the fact that Pluto is working, which always wants to eliminate, which isn't working for our soul growth, has been squaring, as we say, this action-oriented tension motivator with the lunar nodes of where we've been and where we're going, which are all about relationships, Aries and Libra.
And Pluto going into Aquarius also brings, in my mind, humanity as a collective and seeing how we make that work better and it's more inclusive. And just it'd be interesting to see how it plays out in the next few years of Pluto and Aquarius. It'd be very interesting. And it'd be like, of course, the Pluto challenges, of course, but we'll see.
Yes. And think of all the babies being born then that'll have their Pluto and Aquarius. It's
Right.
like, oh my goodness. Well, now is the time by Charlie Parker. So here we go.
Like early representatives of the coming Aquarian age, whenever that starts, it's kind of interesting to think about,
Yes,
little hints of this new age coming in, which, yeah.
It's interesting to think about also with Pluto moving into Aquarius, Saturn will be fully in Pisces transiting and the Saturn in Pisces energy. It's like Saturn really likes things to be known and kind of black and white. And in Pisces, it's very ambiguous. And so kind of trying to figure out how to move forward, stand in our authority or our own knowingness of ourselves in this new age of Aquarian energy. So I think there's going to be a lot of ambiguity that we're dealing with as we kind of shift into that. And it'll be interesting to see.
that focus is for me 100% the need to shift to the spiritually aligned. In other words, that to recognize the signs, the symbols, the center within, to be still enough to hear it, to be true to oneself. Because if we're having, it gets back to that accountability instead of listening in reference to others, because it's not all, it's nebulous partly because of how to read what the signs are, what the symbols are. Like, is it someone speaking? Is it a road sign? Is it a piece of music? Is what message am I getting? And how am I really asking for that message? Because what we feel, sometimes we send mixed messages.
There's a gift in having these symbols together, Saturn being the hard work in the building and nose to the grindstone kind of thing, but it's going through Pisces, which I think of as the dreams, like building a dream. There's a little thing of hope. What can we build? But it's hard for Saturn to get a footing, but it opens that up, right?
Yeah.
Or what is necessary to build.
Yeah, and Saturn is
up a little more. Sorry.
Saturn's all about like the rules and following the rules, and with Pisces, that's dissolving a little bit, and so we're having a period now where we can build those new dreams in a different way with that Aquarian energy and standing in that Aquarian power.
Yeah. Right this second, today, this is a chart representing it at 1:00, and of course, it's based out of KKNW AM, which also hosts our show through our show, and we are on YouTube and podcasts. But it is a balsamic moon, meaning it's a time of rest as we speak. Interestingly, because there are these two action T-squares happening, and they involve the moon. One of them does, and the sun. Because so it's all about the sense of timing, just as we speak. But this is sort of the launching pad, because we're going to quickly shift. But Saturn, as we can see, is just as we speak, maybe working in tension with how we're feeling with the moon and our emotions, and the sun of our will and our actions, to create, just as you say, new boundaries, new directions. And then Pluto, of course, is in that transmutive place of, okay, if you're going to do all these changes with your actions and boundaries, how do they relate to you and other people? Complex.
Well, I love that Pluto is trining the moon as well, and kind of making it a little more comfortable for us to kind of step into our power with these T-squares that can be quite challenging. And that, Saturn is like a little bit of a taskmaster. And so it's going to kind of bring things forward that sometimes we don't necessarily want to see. So I like that Pluto aspect to kind of help us really just step into it and say, okay, I'm doing it.
Thank you. It kind of resolves the shock.
There's a nice trine. I guess that's actually to Uranus, but it's, maybe that's out. I was going to talk about Juno over there, but I think that's trining Uranus. Maybe who are the assistants, who are the helpers with the innovative ideas, something like that. Find those people in your crowd.
Help from your friends. It's so good. Well, we have here Q, their natal chart, and thank you, Q, for allowing us this opportunity. And they were born on, they go by pronouns they and theirs, them, December 28th, 1990 in Manchester.
I think it was New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Yeah, I was thinking New England. I kept thinking that's not, it's in New England. Thank you. Yeah, at 5:49 in the evening. So it's just the beginning of a evening lower hemisphere chart with the sun. Big stellium in Capricorn there in the 6th house, duty
That's
oriented.
where my eye goes to, all the Capricorn.
Wow.
Very strong.
And North Node in Capricorn, and the ruler Saturn in its own sign. Very dedicated, that strong, very strong. Talk about conditioning.
And also, I'm wondering, a very strong work ethic, right? Or complete the job. You have to do all the parts of it to know that it's finished.
Accountable.
So
Accountable to self.
There's a word. Thank you.
Yeah, yes. all that Capricorn energy is hardworking in the 6th house, which is that Virgo energy, which is it's a house of service, it's a house of action, getting things done in the material world. And so it's like all that Capricorn energy, this person has come in with lots of lifetimes of having been in that Capricorn energy of...
No, it's North Node, but you're true. Sorry, Amanda, you're right. It's coming in, but the South Node, were you going to say?
Yep. I'm going to mention that though, because that definitely plays into it. Just lots of lifetimes of kind of being in that energy where they are the kind of the general leading the troops. And with Capricorn, it's like when you have that, you often don't get to kind of like sit back and like feel your feelings because you're in the action often. And with all of this Capricorn energy, there is still that Capricorn North Node. So it's like, yes, they're bringing that in from their past lives, but they're still going towards it. And you see the outer planets Neptune and Uranus in there. So they're shifting how they're doing it. And so this is coming in a new way to kind of be worked through in this lifetime and to be moving forward into it with that North Node in a new way.
At the top of the chart, you have Moon and Mars, and I guess Vesta, and even Sedna, which is a heavy gathering for Taurus, Capricorn being the moving forward Earth where you're climbing the mountain, having that Taurus there is, I'm going to be feeling of being more grounded and enjoying the beauty more. So that's a little hint there. We're going to brush off the hard work ethic a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We're going to enjoy a little bit.
This is such a beautiful synergy of listening to you both, because I'm realizing with the ascendant in Cancer, which of course responds to that moon that you're bringing up, John, and Amanda, what you're bringing up is that by very nurturing and with Chiron there, sort of changing their identity a lot. It's like an ongoing internal identity of truth, of focus, but yet in Cancer, there's so much that has to do about the deep, I'm thinking the deep past. It's not really deep past, but for this person, I think with those outer planets there, all conjoined in that 6th house, opposing it, must be, and Chiron right in the 12th, so much deep spirituality that needs to dig out and needs to be embraced because very nurturing. But the question remains, how is that nurturing, as I think tying together with what you're both saying, serving the self?
Another read on the Taurus is the settling of the emotions. So you have the South Node indicates many lifetimes of doing things a certain way. So a lot of Cancer energy, a lot of emotional letting out of them. The person might still be in that. And the Taurus moon is saying, wait a minute, you have all these emotions. Let's ground them a little bit and see if we can see what we're feeling here and get on a more solid ground. And then we can get that Capricorn action going. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And if I can jump in with the series, that looks like the question mark, folks, right down at the bottom with the red arrow and the other 2 arrows, and that happens to be the same degree, 22 degrees Libra, that the solar eclipse was in. So there was probably a huge shift. It's an aftermath. And here we are giving this synopsis. This is one part of it. But as we will see, this person's having a solar return coming up and so many more returns. But it's also, and I think we'll jump ahead to some other charts. Amanda, you might have something to say.
Yeah. And can I just...
It's about nurturing, I was going to say. Go ahead. Nurturing and grief. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the moon in Taurus, which rules that South Node, is also, Taurus is a very self-sufficient sign. So this is someone who probably it has been kind of dealing with their emotions on their own more often. And maybe they may be very good at that. And that may be part of the Chiron energy of kind kind of teaching others how to be that way as well.
That's right. Like, or yes. Go ahead, John.
Jupiter. I was going to talk about Jupiter really quick in the first house, the magnifying glass expanding in this lifetime. Let's see how we're going to deal with that South Node and how we're going to deal with those emotions. It's just like a light on the life.
Well, looking ahead, Q has some really strong highlights, astrological highlights. One of them is, if we can go back, but that Pluto in the late degree of Capricorn, it has been transiting over their north node 5 times and will closely in 2024, late 2024, so that it'll get felt. But these are really activating karmic experiences that started in 2022 and this year, early in January, then in the summer, and now presently as we speak. So that's one of, and as we remember, Pluto also wants total transformation. It wants soul growth. What is feeding you? It's hungry. It's hungry for the real deal of what is true. Also, were you going to say something, Amanda?
Oh, well, I was just going to mention also that that Pluto it's been in Capricorn since 2008, and it touched Q's sun in 2011. They've got that huge Capricorn stellium. So since 2011, they've been having Pluto transits. And so this is like, I'm super curious to see how what type of transformation that has been for them. And for like how they're working that Capricorn energy in their lives.
It's very powerful. And there's such a funnel of other strong, kinetic, synergetic energies. And we'll just go through these. One is that very recently, as of the 16th of this month, there was a lunar return, which happens every month. Happens to be that in their chart, Mars is exactly conjunct. So it's always a call to action. And Mars wants to go forward and separate, which cuts away something that you're attached to. But hopefully it just digs further to weed out things. And it happens to be in the 11th house. So possibly all of this is greater. But the point is, there was a emotional connection, that's still evident. And also that the nodes, their nodes, which are in opposite signs, they're all cardinal. They're squaring each other. So there's this huge tension between what's currently we're embodying as a collective past and going forward with their own personal past and future. And it's happened as you say, it's a phase. So it's not anything we can pinpoint, but it's part of this whole huge internal change, because since mid-July, and actually right as July went into August, but at this moment it's 3.5 degrees in orb. So it's still being recognized, although it's out of the thick of it. So here we have that biwheel that shows that conjunction of the moon, because this is, what is this? This is the natal on the inside, December 28, 1990, and then today, which is November 26th. As you can see, maybe I was wrong. We're having a lunar return right now. You know what? I put a 16. It should be a 26. That was a typo. Sorry. Today, we're having a lunar return. That's the big news. And Pluto on the north node.
Okay. Yeah, and this Pluto on the north node, it's not the Pluto's. They've been dealing with it for a while, so this is not like a new thing out of the blue type of energy. So this is kind of the culmination of that Capricorn journey and that Pluto transit, and how they're moving through it and empowering themselves.
So maybe
I was thinking empowered choices. Whenever I see the nodes crossing each other, I think of it, having to make a decision on well, the soul's path and what you really want to do. And with all this experience going through Capricorn, Pluto going through Capricorn, all this time, it's like, okay, what do you make of that? What do you want to do? What decisions do you want to make?
Right, because here we have the emotional body that always wants action, and so it's very forward. And here we're giving all this emotional news right here. It's like a stepping stone towards embodying it. So going ahead, as of tomorrow, Venus is actually going to conjunct that square with series of nurturing. So it's all very potent, whether it's today or tomorrow. But before their solar return, that somehow we'll get to in the next minute or two, there are Mercury returns. And for this individual, that's pretty potent because it happens to be when Mercury will be retrograding, and Mercury being at the same degree as the galactic center. That's one of the reasons why I think spiritually it'll be heartening to hear how this person might be navigating that aspect, if it's working, how it's working in their life.
I mean, meditation would be a fantastic practice for somebody with Mercury conjunct the galactic center. I mean, that is like, you could really open yourself up to channeling and getting information.
All channels open. It's galactic center. Yeah.
So the first time it's going to be direct is like dominoes in a couple of days. Today's the 26th. So on the 28th, there's these quick series of movements. And then, of course, right on Christmas Eve, and then again in January. So it will be a process to review. So here we have the solar return. That's important for everybody. It's once a year. And John, you brought up that, and I think I have that on the next slide. Do I? Yeah. Right now, maybe we should just jump right to, well, the moon is opposite. We were talking about the moon and Pluto before. As of today, is they're having a lunar return, and then Pluto's on the nodes. Well, those two are, when they're opposite of each other, is awareness. So there'll be greater awareness of this emotional embodiment. What made the conditioning for the habits, for the emotion, for the childhood, and what structures can we keep and what can we release? That's a big part of this.
The work, Mike, can we look at that chart one more time? Very interesting thing I noticed. Leo in the first house. So the sun is ruling the chart, and there's the sun in the sixth house, which continues the work, but on developing some kind of a regimen to continue with the work, and allowing yourself to shine and feel warm in that and feeling good about that. Yeah.
Well, we're nearing our break time, but perhaps, I know, John, you brought this up because the natal ascendant, the moon, is so valuable in many ways here. The lunar return and the on, and the south node with right there. But the Sabian symbol for the ascendant, perhaps you want to talk a little bit about this. Is this good timing, or should we go?
Sure. Over the natal chart, every degree of the zodiac has a picture with it, and they were developed by, I can't remember the name of a psychic and an astrologer. He wrote all the degrees of the zodiac on the chart.
Elsie Wheeler and Edmund Jones. Yes.
Yeah, he wrote down all the degrees of the zodiac, and she came up with an image for each one, and we've incorporated them into astrology, and we use them for pictures of all the degrees of the zodiac. And 27 degrees Cancer, we look at 28, and the picture for that Elsa Wheeler came up with, a confrontation. Well, what's the picture? I got it here. A violent storm rages in a canyon filled with beautiful homes. An interpretation of that is, crisis, or rising to the occasion, or facing fears, which I think is really interesting with that.
It is about values, static values, what's been existing, but how we got to reconsider it. Yeah, I was glad.
Here comes a change. We can't control it. New footing, new ground, right?
And yeah, what just comes to me is like this desire to cut through everything that is that's kind of like a false status, and like wanting to just rip it down. If it's not going to survive a storm, then does it have worth in your life? Like you don't want these false illusions of these homes that look expensive, but they're just going to crumble. So like building that strong structure and having it withhold a storm. And so that energy within Q's chart, I think works really well with all of her Capricorn and the way that she's transforming it.
The beautiful homes could be what temple do you want to build?
Beautiful. We are
suits you.
Taking a break. We'll be right back with Kaleidoscope Visions panel with Amanda Pierce and John Chenworth. And thank you, everybody. We're really excited to get down to talking with Q. We have a little bit more, but we'll be right back. Stay with us. Thank you.
While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the Yang period of Sagittarius, ruled by the largest of all planets, Jupiter, the Roman god, or Zeus by the ancient Greeks. By leaving a cycle based on power and powerlessness of life and death and regeneration, involving committed relationships, Sagittarius energy finds meaning for an expanded perspective and potential for actualization in their search for truth. As a mutable fire sign depicted by the centaur, Sagittarius is adventurous and seeks the beyond. Sagittarius travels to far places, physically and mentally, to find the truths of life.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to NewProSupplements.com, we cover the world of animals. This week, it's Shelter Rescue Sanctuary and anything that helps our animal friends Sunday. We'll check in with Now.Chat Rescue, Help Animals India, Animals24-7.org, and the Ananda Institute for Living Yoga. But the best thing is, it's time to unleash the Jingle Cats. Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Talk Cosmos brings insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for the soul growth with hour-long programs every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific on KKNW. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. And to find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com. So grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
Giving local voices a chance to shine. Alternative Talk 1150.
Hi again, we're back. And if we could get those slides, and I will mention that if anybody wants consultations, we do it. And please go to Talk Cosmos. You'll see all, or just go to these slideshows. And it shows Amanda's email and John's website, of course, mine. We'd be glad to work with you personally. Here we have Q's natal with the I don't know why I got that message, but anyway, natal with the solar return, and it show, and then we'll bring on Q. So there it is, that big square, and the opposition with right now Uranus saying, let's shake it up and work with the moment. Let's do some changes.
Yeah, and Uranus is opposing Q's natal Pluto, and Pluto being in the 5th, there's a very strong creativity here. And I wonder also if this Uranus transit is looking to kind of shake up that Pluto, get it in a more playful place with all of this Capricorn energy. Sometimes that can be a bit serious, and getting back more into the power of that creativity and play in life.
That's a good point. Did we have, let's see, go ahead, John, because we do want to bring Q on. I'm just
Kind of
seeing
love that
if
Uranus went over natal Vesta. Vesta keeps the fires burning up there in the 11th house. So just surprising changes to the community, or looking for changes in that, or how you
yes.
experience your community. And is your community charging your battery? You know, do you feel comfortable in it? What needs to be changed?
Yes, and the moon right there in the first house, really powerfully accenting the emotional embodiment that we're talking about, the full awareness with processing, because Cancer South Node wants to process, does have to process, and that all that Capricorn saying, no, now, time is of the element. You know, there's a restriction, and so it's maybe a. Amanda?
Yeah, well, just looking at that we didn't mention this before, but as Pluto's been transiting through Capricorn, it did just trine that Moon and Mars in their 11th house. And so that may have been a very empowering time to kind of move through some of these emotions of that Cancer, because it's not that Q has more emotion than others, it's that they have deeper access to it with the Capricorn energy. It's just with that Cancer energy. And because Cancer just is able to go a lot deeper into the emotions. So it can't, and that can be a bit more to handle. But I'd love to see if that has come up for them at all.
And the healing aspects. I think we want to wrap this up. I know all of us, because we want to get Q on. But we did bring up, I think, John, you mentioned the fact that Hygeia, there, that little funny thing in the 8th house at 18 degrees Pisces, is trining all in water signs. So Q could be quite a healer in their own right. And so let's find out. Shall we ask?
Yeah, there's so many ways that this chart could go. So very curious to see how it
Nate, if you could bring our great guest on. Hi. Cute.
Hello.
Thank you. Very great.
Thank you. It's very interesting to hear these takes before meeting you guys too, and to see how that interpretation lines up really is amazing.
Direct feedback about maybe the growth process or what you do for work?
Yeah, sure. So the Sabian symbol actually, I think, is the thing that I wanted to start with, because I didn't know about that being that one for that degree of Cancer, and that feels so true in like a few microcosms of my life. Of both the home that I grew up in was actually like an old decrepit mansion that my parents were rehabbing, and then they built like multi-million-dollar homes around it as they did this project. But that facade of that beautiful home and neighborhood really had such a destructive tornado of anger inside of it. And it was one of those stories of like, you know, on the facade, everything is perfect and wonderful and look how beautiful everything is. But inside, you know, that inability to know how to express the range of emotions. And then I came in, this, you know, Cancer rising kid in this situation, and like had those very deep, big emotions. And it definitely took me until about, 2021-ish was when I, after my Saturn return and everything, had a big moment of like, I need to go on this healing journey. And the fact that you brought up meditation is really lovely too, because that's really how that all started for me, was starting to get in touch with that inner voice and hear that this healing needed to happen. And I would say it's been very interesting with Pluto on my North Node, really coming to terms with some of the ways that shadow side of Capricorn manifests in me, and where it does that I haven't been able to see it before as a part of this journey. So it's very confirming, I think, to hear this story and to see that like that volcano in the house that I've built of myself in my life, and see that tornado needs to still find its way to be expressed myself. And that's, I think, the point of the journey that I'm on, is what to do with that tornado that's trapped in here.
Well, I'd like to say something about the moon and Cancer rising. So it's ruled by the moon, and your natal moon is in the 11th house next to Mars, exactly conjunct to Mars. So this is a signal of either the emotions get out of control and that you're to let loose a tornado, or you begin to practice to marshal the emotions, become observant of them, and learning how to, I guess, deal with them, which sounds like what you might be starting to do.
Yeah, I love that because Mars is martial arts, and so that's beautiful, and kind of taking a there's a lot of emotional bravery here with Mars, because Mars is courage. It's going to pioneer, and it's going to step into areas that haven't been stepped into, potentially for yourself. And with that South Node in Cancer, this is where you're coming from. And so stepping even deeper into it and pioneering even deeper into those emotions, and having that courage and that bravery may be what kind of makes some shifts for you in terms of how it works and how you heal with that Chiron in Cancer there. Because that's a lot of energy that you're looking to heal in this life, and that also can be used to help heal others.
Oh, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. I love that emotional pioneer idea. I find that having a Mercury return right with this retrograde will be so constructive, because you have a lot of sixth house, a lot of analytical ability, able to piece it together. So bringing in that emotional story of it, seeing a perspective on it that maybe you're able to reshift and use your part and the other people's parts is going to be, because it's very philosophical, right? It's in Sagittarius. It wants to see the broad picture. And I know from my own chart, I understand that sometimes one can get caught up in the bigger framework of it. But the fact that it's in fire, I think, helps keep you grounded. And the fact that you have all this natural water you're in touch with emotions. It's not like you're going to get carried away into airy-fairy air thoughts.
Not with all that Capricorn.
No. So there's a lot of potential, I'm saying, for help from the universe, is what I'm saying with these transits that are going on. And John, you brought up the fact that this year is profection, which is a ancient system of denoting each year you're born. You kind of move around the horoscope and keep revolving. But at 33, if we're correct, it would be in the 10th house of career and social work. So it really is
which is
the
ruled,
Capricorn house.
and it's ruled by Mars. So
Exactly.
Mars comes into play again. And Mercury's going to bump up against Mars. And natally, you have that moon Mars. So this year's the year to think about Mars.
Did I miss it? I had to close the refrigerator. Anyway, it was beeping. Did I miss what you do or what you're thinking of doing in this world? Or does this relate? If you feel like sharing it,
I see two things that I haven't really figured out what the synthesis might be, but I work in commercial electric energy. I'm an engineer by training, of course, and I am really focused right now on changing the ways markets work in order to make them more efficient and use the technologies that we have available in more thoughtful ways. And I see how the system that we have in our marketplaces for commercial construction is really informed by people and limited knowledge of how things work and the systems at play. And so I really enjoy looking at those larger systems and deconstructing them into little people components of understanding. And that's done pretty well for me. I know what I do, and I'm comfortable there, and I'm very comfortable being very visible. I think as Jupiter went through my 10th house recently, that all kind of came off. And with the eclipses, I think more of that will continue. But what I also do in kind of the other side of me is in my personal life, working with people on feelings. And that's something that really is like at the core of when I feel like I have been able to understand something and integrate something, is if I experience it once myself, and then afterwards, if I see it manifest in somebody else after I've, become aware of it and worked on it, that having a conversation that's really like, compassionate with somebody else who's going through something that I can see myself in, that point feels so much more healing to me than the working on it myself was. It never feels complete until I can hold that space for somebody else. And so that I have a calling there that I haven't figured out what to do with. And I would like to connect with other people more on that intimate level. But it's very, it doesn't feel reckoned with like all the Capricorn that's like, do the very traditional career route, keep going up that mountain, don't ever stop, and look the other way.
Well, I think this is a great year to start making headway into that secondary career piece, or even if it's not a career, if it's like, this is the 10th house is your legacy, right? This is what you'll be known for. And it's ruled by Mars, and which connects with that moon and connects with that Chiron in Cancer. And so really being that advocate for others. I love that you're talking about holding space. That's such a Taurus energy and such like a gift to have and give to the world. And even it being in the 11th house could be like online work that you do with this. I don't know if that's what you're doing currently, online work, but the 6th house is it's the work we do, but it's not necessarily our career or legacy. So yeah, you've got a lot of that energy in there, but it's not like it's not that healing or that maybe that purpose that you're looking for.
Do you ever consider being a mentor of some kind?
That's a great question. I think that I have filled that role a little bit in the more traditional engineering space, but it is not one that has come through in other avenues in the interpersonal side as much.
To me,
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, to me, it's a great year to research. I'm thinking of that 6th house loves to kind of figure out more. We all have a lot of that energy ourselves, but to research the avenues that you might find training, since I think that's also 6th house, into to hold that space, because as Amanda and John are saying, it's you have a gorgeous foundation of a perspective for it, and it the universe we don't have to worry about in some ways, because that motivation internally is going to bring focuses. So just be receptive. You
might find yourself also being able to be the word mentor again, of people who struggle with their emotions, with all the Cancer energy and Chiron right there with the South Node. You have experience with this, and Chiron wants to heal that. And by doing that in the myth, he teaches others how to heal by becoming a teacher. So you might have a natural gift for helping people who maybe help with emotional work.
Yeah.
Sagittarius, the professor, the sage. The sage. Yes.
I'm curious. Do you do anything creative right now in your world?
It's one of those things that was expressed much more earlier in my life, and I think that it's changed how I relate to that side of myself, and it's much harder to access these days. I'm definitely an artist, and it is not something I'm not making right now. It's not coming to me as easily as I'm definitely stuck in the research mode of gather information in order to digest and integrate rather than do that expression piece. And I do feel like there's something missing there for me.
Yeah, I feel like that would be helpful for you just to get the energy shifting a bit. And with the Uranus has been going over your Pluto. It's Pluto in the 5th, right? I mentioned that earlier. Just really powerful creative energy. And even if it's you're blocked on the creativity level, just getting out and kind of being playful with things to just shift that energy out of that very sometimes serious Capricorn, I got to get it done. Energy is that could start to allow you to allow different insights to come forward or different inspirations of where you really want to go with your life and your work and everything else.
And it's in the 11th, meaning groups. So whether it's online or whether it's a network group, but just that association, and it begins to break down some of the barriers, because you see the other people with you get inspired. There's a whole realm of it. But truly, I would hold on to realizing that these transits that are happening just as we speak, as we were saying about the moon and Venus because this is ahead. This is still a month away. It's all like a synergetic river, a flow, but your values with that Venus in is going to strengthen. And then the thought process, it's a work in progress this year, but I think you will start experiencing many ways to put that emotional counseling or mentoring or healing, however you decide, appeals to you. You'll find a method, and it could be with the art might help break it up too. Yes, I love that.
Do you feel like you've since 2011 you've had major shifts in your life, with that? Yes. All of that Pluto energy? Yeah. And like you're a totally different person.
Yes, I have stopped hiding myself, I think, since then, and just more and more over the time figured out how to choose myself first.
And you're still in that Pluto transit energy. So this may need to just settle a bit for you too. As Pluto moves over your north node, it's going to pull you towards those things that are correct for you in this life. And so it may just be just to being in a state of allowing things to come forward.
Yeah, it's a process. It is surely a process. So thank you so much, Q. You've been I'm very grateful to have you help close our 2023 season. And
thank you so very much. I appreciate it. This is lovely.
Yeah, thank you. This is an honor.
Thank you. Excellent.
Yeah. So we wish everybody a good season ahead. For some people, Christmas, other people, their holiday of their direction. There's many things
have a wonderful solstice, everybody. We'll see you next year.
I'm so excited. That's so true. Yes, and December, we begin with Chiron with Tracy Quinlan of Canada next week. So that's going to continue this healing concept. a deep time we're in, transiting into how to be joyful. Thanks, folks. We love you.
Thank you for joining an insightful conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests awaken consciousness by connecting soul growth patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.